Hey all, John aka Whisky and Sound, and I'm back with another episode of Boilermaker Mondays. And we are also back with another Urban Alley beer. Now, this one is one that I'm uber excited about. So it's a Ruby Red Rye IPA. I do not know what to expect from this, which is all the more fun. So it does mention on the can that a blend of caramelized specialty malts from New Zealand with American and Australian hops present a full body with bold and fruity bitterness, finishing with strong notes of pine, stone fruit, blackcurrant, and a hint of spice from malted rye. So the hops that they've used are Super Pride, Chinook T90, Centennial, Galaxy, I know that one's an Australian, Chinook T45, and Cashmere. Right, so this is going to be very interesting. Now I'm thinking because Ruby, Ruby Red Rye IPA, the first thing that comes to mind with trying to pair this back with something, because I don't have any of that particular beer, or you know what, actually, I'll reword that again. It reminds me of the beer that I had tried whilst I was at Hobart. So yes, I'm going to pair this back again with the Hobart Whiskey number. And for those that are watching that are Hobart Whiskey fans, know exactly what whiskey I'm going to pair this back with. And the reason why is because that whiskey was, beer matched, beer specific. Now, the way they had actually done that that particular whiskey maturation was, it was 3.5 years in the usual American oak ex-bourbon cask. And then, that is a really nice nose, that beer. Oh, yeah, very nice and fruity. Yeah, that's good. That is good. All right. I'll just let the head settle on that one, and then I'll go through the whiskey that I've got in mind for this, which I actually should pour out. So, another one, once again, I'm not going to be cracking open this bottle. I'm being sworn not to. So this is a smoky rye red ale finish that was made that was made by Hobart Whisky. So let's see if I can get some shadow on that one. Yep, so Hobart Whisky. And it was part of their 4 beer casks, which I was fortunate enough to be the presenter for the virtual tasting. Actually down in Hobart, which that was a whole lot of fun that night. And it was part of the porter, the smoke, the smoked rye red ale, and the imperial stout. Yeah, actually porter stout, red rye, and I've just gone blank out of brain fart. What was the fourth one? The fourth one was I should know this by now, but it's not coming to mind. And you know what? That's fine. It'll probably come to mind a little later anyway. So. But this particular whiskey was finished off after it's been 3.5 years in the ex-bourbon barrel. They then transferred it across into a 20-litre barrel, which turned out to be a little bit more than 20 litres. It was almost close to 30 litres, from what I recall in the discussions. Pedro Jimenez cask, which had previously had the beer that the distiller at Hobart Whisky, who is Ben, I forgot his last name, Ben Davis, I think Ben David, one or two. Anyway, it's Ben, I know that much. Sorry, Ben, if you're watching this. So Bennett had made like a smoky red rye, which he wanted to get a bit of that Pedro Jimenez or that sherry influence. And he wanted to get a lot of complexity about this particular beer. Now, the way that they had done the beers and whiskies, the beer, I don't believe they threw in a great deal of hops, because they wanted to mature the cask, or they wanted to mature the whiskey in the cask that they've barrel aged the beers in. So they were going to add hops into it, or a lot more hops into it later, into the beer. So then they could then pair them back with the whiskies once they've done their full maturation. And they were going to then do a Boilermaker event at Destination Cellars. well, I did do that event at Destination Cellars, which I unfortunately wasn't around for, but that happened afterwards, and that's not a problem because I actually got to try that particular smoky red rye ale, or smoky, smoky red rye ale. Say that one, smoky rye red ale. Say that one 10 times fast. After drinking smoky red rye ale. Smoky rye red ale. There you go. I'm not getting it right. I need a drink already. So I'll pour myself a... You know what? It's Monday night. I really couldn't care. I'll just go the full 45ml. Because, hey, why not? And not just that, it'll probably work a lot better in that glass too. So I've got that in the Highwayman glass. So the reason why I want to put this particular whiskey is because it is beer influenced. I believe it should work really well. It's got its level of complexities, about a whole heap of layers going through it, which is really fun. So I think this beer should work really well if my my pairing guesses serve me correctly or right. You know, I mean, there's no right or wrong answer with how this is all going to work out. And for those that just tuning in, I saw a question last week on one of the previous videos that I've done, and the thought process with me trying to come up with my pairings is what angle I want to take my Boilermaker pairing into. Do I feel like I want to do something, and it boils down to the 3 C's that we spoke about in the introduction video, and that is, do I want to make something that's going to complement it? Do I want to make something that's going to work as a contrast? And do I want something that's just going to basically be like a cutting agent, or a palate reset, or something that's going to cut out particular flavors and then bring out other flavors that you wouldn't generally pick up on if you're drinking it on its own, for example. So, and in this instance, I'm going purely for complement. I tend to do a lot of complement pairings, or something that I feel will intensify the experience of whether it be the beer or the whiskey on its own. Put them all together in like a big, fruit bowl and just make it all work, or into a big salad bowl and make it all work. All right, I'm going to stop talking now, and I'm going to try to do a beer wash, and then we'll go with a whiskey rinse and see what happens. So now that the head's calmed down on this, it's actually a really rich colour. And the beer that they had actually made with this particular whiskey as well was also a very thick beer. I remember Ben mentioned that it was what were his exact words? It started off as like a high ABV, massive starting gravity. That's what it was, because I remember they threw in and insulted John Jarvis about that afterwards. But anyway, that massive starting gravity meant that it was a really thick beer, a very thick beer, and it was extremely sweet as well. There was lots of smoked grains and lots of like a little bit of peat influence, just to give us some level of complexity and some layers. So that's what we'll expect from this whiskey. I know I've got my tasting notes on it too, which were the exact notes that I shared on the virtual tasting. But having said that, it's in a different glass now, so I'm probably going to pick up on some different notes once again, because that event was Glencairn glasses. So it was in one of these little guys. Obviously, there's a big difference in profile in the glass, so I'm most likely going to pick up on some different notes, but I've got the notes in mind just in case. So, beer wash. Yeah, that is very, very fruity. Ooh, very rich. Oh, that just went all the way down my arm there. That was awesome. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's got a nice level of bitterness, so then it just pulls right back. And that's a real cool mouthfeel. I like that. All right. Let's see if I can get all that bloody beer out of my beard. Anyway, wear that one with on in the meantime. Right. So, yeah, that's got a medium to long finish on that beer. That's still going. So the ABV on this one as well is 6 point, what was it? 6.4. 6.4%. So that is a really nice beer. Just a very tasty, that makes me want to keep reaching back and forth for that glass. That's a very moreish kind of beer. I like it. Super fruity, yeah, super fruity. A level, like a small amount of, oh, actually no, it's not a small amount. It's like it's got a very bitter note about it, but it's not enough where it's too in your face kind of, bitter. It's yeah, um, sitting on the palate quite nice. So it's going to be very interesting to see which way this goes about. Um, right, I do pick up on different notes in this glass now. So at first, I was getting like a lot of well, actually, I lie. So a few of the notes that I recall, which is so there's musk candy there, the white chocolate's definitely there. There was a lemon sherbet note as well that I got, but now I'm getting a lot more marmalade in the glass, which a lot of people did pick up on. They some people also got grapefruit as well. I did pick up on that. Yeah, yeah, definitely pick up on marmalade on toast. That's exactly what I'm getting. So, which is consistent with what you grab from the Pedro Jimenez influence. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Like it's that bread, that cereal note, the malt note. That's what you get. So that's marmalade and toast is definitely what you'll get on that. But you get that light citrusy note. The smoke for some reason is not there. Well, I don't pick up on it. But having said that, my nose is accustomed to quite big smoky whiskies, big, peated, heavily peated whiskies. So I'm used to like the ashtray liquid, that kind of influence. So that's what I'll probably pick up on, if if I'm looking for a smoky element. But this is quite subtle. So, but there were quite a few people that usually don't do smoked or anything with a bit of smoke influence in their whiskies that picked up on the smoke on the nose on the night. So, but it's definitely complex. That's got some opening up to do. That's for sure. So, all right, I'm gonna go for a little. Um, I'm gonna have a sip, and then we'll do a proper beer wash, and then a whiskey rinse, and then we'll go back and do a whiskey wash, and then a beer rinse, and see which way that works. I think. Oh, that was a real nice blackcurrant note that I just got then too, which I did pick up on. Probably more cherries, I'd say, is what I'm getting in there. Like very jammy. It's a very jammy kind of beer, so this should work very well. Actually, there we go. There's that smoky element. I didn't pick up on that before, but once again, it's in the glass. That's different to what I picked up. Like the difference in the glasses as opposed to last time. That's yeah, man. The glassware. I keep saying it. It makes such a difference. Yeah, it's not big smoke, but there's definitely a level of smoke that's there. So I'm just starting to get that on the nose now that it's opened up a bit more. And it's probably going to come out a little bit more on the palate now that I've picked up on that. So we'll see how that goes. Hmm. Yeah, big peaks influence. Oh yeah. definitely marmalade. Definitely marmalade. Um, oh yeah, that white chocolate notes also coming through as well. That's very malt driven. It's got a medium finish on it. It's not big. It could probably do with a little bit of water. Now that I come to think of it, but I doubt it would need like a mass amount, because I remember on its own it works really well. But for the actually, you know what? I'm gonna leave the water alone on this one for a sec. I'll probably do that in my own time actually, but maybe adding a little bit of water may do something on the palate as well, and bring out certain flavors, make it a lot more fruitier than what it already is. But who knows? We'll see what happens. So let's go a proper beer wash now, and then a whiskey rinse. Where's that tissue? Do it to myself every time. No regrets. All right, whiskey rinse. Oh yeah, that's big jammy fruits. Oh, that's rich, super rich now. Yeah, that's very rich. That is that's actually brought a lot more of the Pedro Jimenez influence. So, which like PX Cask for me. It's a lot sweeter than Oloroso. Oloroso's got a lot more drying, a drying effect on the palate, and it's a lot more spicier than what I get on the Pedro. The Pedro's a lot sweeter, so it's just luscious, rich fruits. That's what I get, and whereas the Oloroso influence, you'll see like you would pick up on a lot more like gingerbread influence, or ginger spice, like Anzac biscuits, that kind of note. That's what I get with the subtle like dark fruits like prunes and or dates. You'll pick up on that like kind of stone fruit, and this I just get luscious, berries. That's what I'm getting. But there's also the citrus that comes through as well. So it's consistent with that marmalade note that I'm getting. Right. This is going to go a very interesting direction. I can already see it with a whiskey wash and beer rinse. So I'm very curious now. So far, this is definitely working out as a great pair. I forgot how much I enjoyed this whiskey, and that also does a bit of airtime as well. Like it does airtime really well. If you're one of the lucky ones that actually got your hands on one of those bottles, because I believe there was only 59 that went online for sale. So if you're one of the lucky ones, cool. I do have a sample, so if somebody is really, really curious as to how this particular pairing goes, if you have this beer, I'm happy to send you that sample. So, yeah. But anyway, let's see how the beer rinse goes through. I'll get a bit more of the palate on the whiskey. So. I know I waffled on a fair bit about the whiskey then, and I didn't go a great deal into the beer. But, should have done a little bit more homework on the on what the story was with the Ruby RRIPA, as I'm going to call it, which is probably what it is called. But yeah, Ruby Red Rye IPA. Right. So, right, a lot more of the bitterness comes out. Yeah, definitely a lot more hoppy now. Very hoppy now. So that's that's actually worked out in like a cutting fashion. But whereas when you went beer wash whiskey rinse, it went complementary. So they're the Boilermakers that I love. Like I do love more complementary ones, but the ones that also challenge the palate and they go a different way, either way that you work it, that's awesome. Like it's just as fun as having a real complex dram in front of you, or just a real complex beer where something as awesome as what you'll get on the nose, what you get on the palate are two separate things, two different journeys altogether. That's cool. I'm getting that with this particular pairing, and for me, this is a big win. What else you could pair that back with? You could actually pair it back with. Let's see. Is it floating around here? No, it's not. But you could probably pair it back with. Ooh, what could you pair it back with? Maybe the. I have an idea. Let's go with Glencairn. Yep, sweet, that'll do. Just do a quick little bonus here. All right, so I'm gonna trial out with. Nope, wrong bottle. Wrong bottle. Third time's a charm. Right, High West double rye. So we'll see what happens here, which is and High West do some real cool stuff as well. They're blended ryes, or their ryes are blended and fun, real fun whiskies. I want to do a proper High West Boilermaker series with their particular whiskey, like their whiskey range, and I've got their 3 bottles on hand: the Rendezvous Rye, the Double Rye, and the American Prairie Bourbon. But I'll leave that, and if I can get my hand on the Midwinter's Night Dram, then that'd be killer. But anyway, I want to do a proper Boilermaker series as well with those particular whiskies. But for the sake of an exercise, whilst I have the beer on hand, oh yeah, maybe that could work as well. I'm just thinking as well as what's readily available, whether it be like at a Dan Murphy's store or wherever, like somewhere where you can pick, the urban alley up, and the whiskey's not too far off, where you can just go, sweet, I'm going on with that, I'm going on with that. Let's all pair it. Oh yeah, definitely a lot more herbal influence on that one. Very sweet, definitely rye driven, so it's spicy. Yeah, nice and fruity, honey, loads of honeycomb in it. Right, that could work really well. Once again, when you go, oh, man, that just made that beer really dusty, and in a good way. That was pretty cool. That was very cool. It's a funky kind of dust. And for those that are into like your Springbanks, some Ben Nevis, like old bottlings, that kind of whiskey, you get the kind of funky, dusty note that I'm talking about. I even get the pencil shaving note. That's that's awesome. So there's another one that can work for you. Right, let's go. We're at the 24-minute mark. I'll quickly do a beer wash, whiskey rinse on that one, and then I'm going to call it. Because otherwise, I'm most likely going to end up a bit too shit-faced trying to put all these in and talk about it at the same time in such a short amount of time. Anyway. Ooh, vanilla bomb. Oh, okay. And evolving. I like that. Right, so this beer tends to work really well as your initial palate. So the Urban Alley Ruby Red Rye IPA on a beer wash and then a whiskey rinse is just epic. It seems to work really well with that Hobart whiskey. Pardon me, the Hobart whiskey smoked rye red ale finish. But I also found out that it works with High West Double Rye, which is available at like Dan Murphy stores. So feel free to check those pairings out. If you are curious about what kind of, if you're curious about that Hobart whiskey pairing, I've got one sample on hand, which I am happy to send out to whoever is curious about this particular pairing tonight. More than happy. Otherwise, treat yourself to the High West Double Rye with that particular beer, and that works well. So, look, it may even work well with a Jack Daniel single barrel rye. May even work awesome with that. So feel free to chop and change. It's a fun beer to have as a Boilermaker, I know that much. So, yeah, give it a try. See how you go. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you happen to pair it back with. Giving you a couple of ideas as to what way you could go with it. Could be a win all around. So thank you very much for tuning in with tonight's episode, and I'll look forward to any further feedback, any comments. I'll answer them as quick as I can, and stay tuned for the next episode, which will be the last of the Urban Alley pairings, and I believe that is, if I can reach the can from here, the last one is Flight Delay, the Bohemian Style Pilsner. That's going to be fun. Cool. On that note, I'm going to leave you all with it. Have a great evening, and I will see you on the next episode. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe, and support. Catch us all then.